if and only if, by a combination of unique circumstances and legacy, Mr. Navjot Singh Sidhu were to become the Chief Minister of Punjab in the forthcoming Punjab elections, it would be a delicious, supreme irony. Imagine the prospects of two friends, Imran Khan and Navjot Sidhu, who have always been in a kind of a mutual admiration society, occupying powerful and sensitive positions in two countries torn by mutual distrust and animosity. Imagine the script that got them there, but then imagine a little more about what could happen in the future with these two in pole positions. Hi, and welcome all to the CAA show. My name is Juggi Bhasin. CAA is, of course, conversations and analysis. I use three words in my opening remarks: circumstances, legacy, and irony. Let me expand on the meaning of these three words in the context of Sidhu and Imran Khan. Currently, as things stand, Sidhu has completely outsmarted Captain Amrinder Singh in Punjab. He has created circumstances for the eclipse of the captain's role in state affairs and for his own elevation to the chief minister chair. It does not matter that if such an event were to occur, it would be ironic because Sidhu, with guile and skill, has used the captain's legacy for his own benefit. To quickly recap the past, it cannot be denied that Amrinder Singh was the architect of the Congress's very impressive win in Punjab in the last assembly elections. And despite what the critics say, the captain's tenure as chief minister has been more than impressive. Overall, he has managed the state well, kept COVID somewhat in check, and even on the farmers' agitation issue, he has successfully put the ball back in the central government's court rather than see it develop into a Punjab problem. Any other CM would have been felicitated by its party high command for these achievements, but not here. Here, the captain lost out, and Sidhu, the thorn in his flesh, moved it. Sidhu edged the captain out from the power equation and, in a sense, capitalized the legacy so assiduously built by Amrinder Singh. Sidhu managed to do this because he shares one thing in common with Rahul Gandhi. Both men have a love for optics. Both play to the gallery. Amrinder Singh, in contrast, is a straight hitter, a man who loves his military history and his scotch. He is a straight shooter alien to the world of both verbal and visual pyrotechnics. Rahul Gandhi's politics is determined by his Twitter feed and advice and hectoring the Modi government via videos. Sidhu is a communications cause célèbre, a master of the sync, the soundbite, an ingenious monopolizer and rearranger of verbal narration, be it in the company of Archana Puran Singh or among the 60-odd MLAs of Punjab Assembly who flocked around him to show their support. But this episode today is not about Sidhu and the captain. It is about Sidhu and Imran Khan. It is about the uncanny similarity in the trajectory and the rise of both men to positions of power. Both men, besides being fearless cricketers, are also master communicators. Imran Khan rode to power on the strength of his personality, a kind of a youthful, energetic elan, a man who promised the moon to the Pakistanis, a man propped up and supported by the Pakistani army. Sidhu is speeding on the road to power, propped up and supported by the Gandhi siblings. His communications outreach sometimes bordering on verbal hysteria, but nevertheless, it projects him as a man on the go, offering an adrenaline-pumping experience, a man who has the potential to deliver someone the youth would be rooting for. If there was any doubt about all this, let us look at some events in the past. Now, who can forget Imran Khan's overdrive on the Kashmir issue? He raised hell in just about every available international fora, including the United Nations. The Western media was saturated with his interviews where he painted an impending nuclear holocaust in the subcontinent. He demonized the RSS and the stewardship of Prime Minister Modi endlessly. At the first given opportunity, both men carried their communications outreach to a new overdrive. Both men met at the opening of the Kartarpur Sahib corridor, both determined to extract maximum mileage from the opening. Sidhu played the role of the grateful younger brother, and Imran that of the very generous host and a facilitator of a major demand of the seats. Imran hoped through that opening to create a pressure point in the Indian external affairs establishment and ultimately extract concessions on Kashmir. Sidhu, on the other hand, hoped to extend his sway among the Sikh peasantry in Punjab and the devout assembled at the Kartarpur Sahib Gurudwara inauguration through his oratory. And that brings me to the supreme irony in the relationship between both men. Both men, despite their larger-than-a-life communications outreach, have failed to deliver on the ground. The Kartarpur Sahib initiative failed because the Modi government downplayed the opening and gave no importance to the Pakistani role in it. On the Kashmir front, despite Imran Khan's hyper-Kashmir outreach and pitch, the exact opposite has happened. Kashmir has quietened down. Article 370 is a fading memory, and the extra-constitutional nature of the state and its politics is fast becoming a thing of the past. Not only in Kashmir, but domestically too, Imran Khan's record has been less than satisfactory. His promise of a corruption-free Pakistan remains a pipe dream. His handling of the COVID pandemic was less than satisfactory, and despite all the talk of controlling the Taliban, the borders with Afghanistan remain porous, volatile, and full of uncertainty and violence. The economy is in a shambles, and Pakistan still stays condemned in the FATF grey list. Navjot Sidhu's performance on the ground is also similarly insipid. His only ministerial outing as Minister of Tourism and Local Bodies was a forgettable memory. All that, of course, is in the past. The present throws up a challenge for both men, which, to an extent, is quite similar and one that can undermine any kind of effort they might put in. This is the challenge of entitlement. In Pakistan, the gruesome Noor Muqaddam case has exposed the biggest social problems of the country, that of feudal entitlement and its treatment of women. The shockwaves from that case have deeply fractured the Pakistani society. No one believes that the feudal, backward-looking, male-dominated establishment under Imran Khan will deliver justice in this case. A different kind of entitlement issue, but entitlement nevertheless is the issue in our side of the Punjab. Would Sidhu, as a future chief minister, be able to deal with an entitled mindset that demands repeal of farm laws, a high MSP, and a refusal to adopt modern farming practices and a modern agricultural marketplace. Mr. Sidhu, of course, can surprise us, but his track record does not inspire confidence that he can deal with such real hard issues on the ground. Very much like his friend Imran Khan on the other side of the border. But the real issue that can rupture the friendship of both men in the future could be over Punjab. The role of Pakistan in sending drones laden with explosives, IEDs, and arms to Punjab and flooding the state with cheap drugs cannot be brushed under the carpet. Sidhu, as Punjab CM, will at some point have to bite the bullet and face up to his friend, the Prime Minister of Pakistan. If he does not, there will be hell to pay. Maybe that will be the time of a true test of their friendship. So, goodbye on that note. Do subscribe to us and post your remarks and comments and thoughts. Cheers and goodbye till next time.